crown of thorns. Oh my God.
Where?
Look how old these trees are. Look how old these trees are.
So welcome to Jerusalem. So we're at the Jerusalem readings. Matthew 26. Matthew 26, 36 to 45. Then Jesus came to them to a place called, not Agony, called Gethsemane. That's what it's called where we are. Gethsemane in Hebrew.
Now you're just
The olive oil press. The olive oil press. The place of the olive oil press. Gethsemane, and said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." And he took them with Peter and his two sons of Zebedee and began to be grieved and distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me." And he went a little beyond them and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." He's agonizing. He's suffering. He's human. Okay. Here he's the human sense of him. And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping and said to St. Peter, "So you men could not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Keep watching and praying that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and praying, saying, "My Father, if this cannot pass away unless I drink it, your will be done." Drinking what? The agony, the cup of agony, the suffering of all mankind. Okay? Yes. Okay. Again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy, and he let them again and went away and prayed a third time, saying the same thing once more. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. Behold, the one who betrays me is at hand." While he was still speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, came up, accompanied by a large crowd of swords and clubs, who came from the chief priests and elders of the club. Now he was betraying him, gave the sign, "Whoever I kiss, he is the one sees him." That's what takes place over there. Okay? The church, Barlucci. Remember the name, right? Barlucci. It is dark inside, like it is in the story. Inside, you're going to have domes with stars in them. Inside, on the domes also, they're going to have symbols of various nations. That's why it's also called the Church of All Nations, for the ones who gave the money to build the building here in the 1920s. At the wall at the end to the left, the kiss of Judas. 2, the agony on the rock. The disciples falling asleep next to it. And by the altar, there is a stone where it is remembered where Jesus lied, and the crown of thorns around it, and also the cup. Okay, also the cup. And the third on the right hand side is going to be the Jesus declaring himself as Messiah. The mosaic floor, he took pictures out of the mosaic wall. The ignorant, the wise, looking up to Jesus, to God, up to the cross above. This is the gospel over here. The 4 gospels over here. Go inside, say a prayer, take off your hats, come back 10, 15 minutes. The trees here, I'd like to say the trees this is the tree, almost, okay? The oldest tree is straight over here, the biggest tree. That's been dated about 500 AD, but it survives, it still has fruit. The tree of Jesse, what's happening over here, the symbolism of the olive oil tree, and we've talked about that in the light of the world over here. So, I'm sitting over here, come back in 10, 12 minutes. Flash should be okay.
Flash is okay?
There's, I think Psalm 122 or Psalm 88.
He said okay.
It says no guns. What is that? No loudspeaking?
Time of Jesus, knock down this wall, all this area here. Okay, get that movie, put that movie in over here. Knock all this area down. When's this wall from? That wall there? 500 years ago, right? 1500. Walking up to the top of the hill, knock down, ignore all the walls over here behind me, and that's going to be for David. Time of Jesus, these are the rocks he walked on. Okay, not the new ones, where you're sitting. All Jews for 1,000 years, when they came up to Jerusalem, carrying sacrifice, after purifying themselves, have to enter this side over here, from the south. The same way that David and Solomon came from their city up to the top of the hill. And would enter that side where there's 3 arches, so Jesus would walk this way, okay? Armstrong, your astronaut, was more moved sitting over here than on the moon. He wrote, okay? But certainly as a devout Christian, certainly that was his feeling. On the day of Pentecost, right, when the Holy Spirit came onto the disciples, and they went and they baptized how many in that same day? 3,000. 3,000 accepted Christianity on that same day. Where do you think you can find 3,000 Jews on that day? Probably over here. Because they're all gathering over here, going up to that temple, and you're the missionary over here, and before going to, oi, do I have something for you, right? Okay. Maybe they gave trouble, they're getting in trouble, and we know they got in trouble, right? Down over here. So when you're a missionary, you're teaching right to the center of the religion. Am I correct?